Well, if you didn't have World Cup fever before, I guarantee you have been stricken down by the greatest of all things, World Cup fever. India, Pakistan, Australia, New Zealand. Joss Inglis out, Cam Green in. Big old shocker. England, are they the favourites? The rest of the World Cup, of course. Hey, Faf du Plessis got a new book out. A bit going on. We're talking about sandpaper all over again. The Sheffield Shield, the WBBL, hashtag AskTGC. There is so much to talk about on this show, and it's all brought to you by Budgy Smuggler, who are dipping the toe in the water of a new underwear range. You know, we love Budgy Smuggler. They have been with us from the beginning, and it's very important to remember where you've come from, despite people thinking, hey, lads, you've changed now that you've enjoyed possibly the greatest game of cricket I've ever seen in my entire life. That's weird. Don't do that anymore. Stay true to who you are. Sam Perry, welcome. Do you want to start with the greatest game you've ever seen in your life, or do you want to do some stuff, sort of thanking some people, giving some new information about tour dates, some lids, and I want to do it all. I want to do it all. I want to do it right now.
You want it now. Let's jump in a little bit. I want to raise the question of like whether that game last night was cared about by Aussies.
Did it mean anything? Did it mean anything?
We just have a great ability to not give a fuck about anyone else, really.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean everybody.
No,
I don't mean everybody, but you know.
There's a difference between like caring about the team you support,
yeah,
which is of course good, and not giving a fuck about anyone else. there is a difference. Last night, what we witnessed, Pez, and we're still coming down from the high of that, it's difficult to put into words because there's nothing even remotely close to anything that I've experienced in cricket, and we've been very privileged to experience fucking heaps of cool shit.
Yeah.
Ashes games, home and away, close wins, ODI World Cups, wins there, like hat tricks on birthdays. But that was fucking. I've never experienced chills in a sports stadium before.
Yeah.
I've legitimately never experienced that.
I was lucky enough to go to the Socceroos World Cup qualifier against Uruguay. And I just remember the word that was used after that. It was just on radio. Someone described the atmosphere as primal. And I haven't experienced anything that's come close to that until last night. And it feels like anything, like whether you, like comparison is the thief of all joy, really. Mm-hmm. And it was different. India, Pakistan's different to football World Cups and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's just up there. Whatever last night was, it was just sensational, unforgettable, a special memory. It's what else can you say? It's grandkids shit.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, it is certainly less than 24 hours. In fact, it's less than 12 hours ago than when we actually posted that. We posted that at about 3 a.m. Australia time. So if you want that reaction, you've probably already watched on YouTube. You've already listened to the audio on Patreon. And indeed, Patreon is where you get the exclusive audio to all of our World Cup daily shows, of which we're doing 25, I think, during the course of the World Cup. It's almost every single game. It's not every game, but it's almost every game. It's definitely all the games involving Pakistan, India, Australia, and England. I mean, some other games as well, plus side mouth, of which we were outside the ground of the MCG yesterday talking to those fans outside. That was a scene in itself. Never seen anything like that outside a cricket ground. One game in twos, actually, now that I think about it. One game in twos.
We had a very venomous game at Raven once where the electricity was live on the field. It was just live wires.
There were live wires, yeah.
Always harsh on Campbelltown, but it's not fair. Hey,
different to lime wire. That's a separate thing.
You're a great host. You're able to move the show on, but I want to pick up where you just said before with the show being posted. A shout out to, and you'll be uncomfortable with this, but a shout out to Ian Higgins. I won't keep eye contact with you while I say this.
God.
We recorded at 1:30 a.m. There's no sympathy. We have a great job and we're really grateful for it. People make it happen. Others make it happen. But after finishing recording, Higo stayed up till 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. getting that video out and just shout out to you.
Thanks, mate.
For that. And there's a lot of unseen stuff that goes on there. It's not the time to pat on the back, but I think that's a nice thing to say. He goes, he's behind
thanks,
all that sort of shit.
That's very nice. Well, I mean, we're only just getting started. It feels like this World Cup's been going on for a while because we've been jam-packed with stuff, which is really exciting for us. But, of course, I want to thank as well people who left really nice comments, text messages, DMs, whatever, for our interview with Harsha Bogle last week, and also Zamps in bed. Sorry for those who got really triggered by us wearing shoes on the bed. I've been you've been up nights, no doubt, thinking about that. But sorry about that.
Oh, just generally sorry about any error that's
sorry
made.
about any error.
So sorry about triggering anything that's incorrect or wrong. And every time we do, we will delete the video or change it to suit your specific needs.
Well, last night we actually forgot about Coley scoring a 2 in the final over, and there was probably 85 comments just on that. So one mistake, even though that was recorded at about 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Anyway, so enough about that. Me fans are stupid pigs, etc., etc. With the Adam Zampa video, part of that was to launch the Get Rarer lids, of which I'm holding up right now. If you're watching on YouTube, the Get Rarer lids in collab with Australia's premier leg spinner Adam Zampa. You can get that at greatcricket.com. You go to the shop there. There's also all our merchandise thus far. More to come there.
They're genuinely though. That's hotcake stuff. That's stuff. But they're nearly at the door. Yeah. I would get in quick if I was somebody in the market for it, which I'm not.
And how do you speak for those people?
It's a good hat, as in the sense that firstly, it's made from sustainable materials and stuff, and you're supporting some good shit there. But also, if you are a connoisseur of lids, as I am, due to being follically challenged, it's a deep hat too. It gets around the old cue ball there, and you'll enjoy it as a lid wearing experience.
Also, I want to say a thank you to the LBW Trust. We flew to Sydney on Friday to host the charity event, the LBW Trust, of which there are many dignitaries in that room and a couple of coats from the internet. We were also very privileged to speak to one of Australia's greatest athletes, past and present, Madison Di Rosario, who spoke very eloquently, and we were very privileged to interview her on stage. So that was a great honour for us to host that event.
Thank you to LBW Trust who connected us with Harsha as well. That Harsha interview doesn't happen without them anyway. So lift the old hood, see how the sausage is made there.
Yeah, guys, come on, get on with it. How did Cam Green get in the squad?
Yeah, good point.
Okay, just one final thing for Patreon. I know we bang on about it a little bit, but there are live show dates being announced this week. Now, the Melbourne show, which is happening next Wednesday, that's sold out in half an hour. More than half of those tickets were sold through Patreon, and patrons get early access to live shows. Now, the dates for our national tour this summer are being announced this week.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday
will be announced. Now, if you are on Patreon, it's patreon.com/greatcricketer. You get early access and priority to those tickets. I recommend, if you fancy coming to a show, if you're going to one of the test matches this year, which is when broadly when those dates are going to be around for the cities, as we've done in the years previous, you're going to jump on Patreon. You get #AskTGC Fridays, of course. You also get the Hall of Fame for #AskTGCs. You get all the audio exclusively for Patreon for all our World Cup shows. It's all there. So if you fancy it, if you want to bring your friends along as well, it's on Patreon. Please join us there if you fancy it. And if you don't worry about it.
Might be pretty interested to learn of a couple of guests as well this time around.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of heavy hitters there.
Couple of guests floating around.
Okay. Let's start with this game last night. Now, Pez and I were obviously very lucky to actually be at the ground, and it was just fucking. It was a life event. I mean, that was a life event. Where do you want to start? I mean, I guess Pakistan made 159. Like the scores almost seem ridiculous to the innings of a lifetime. Virat Kohli has said this morning that it's his best T20 innings ever because of the magnitude and the situation. I think they were 5 for 32. They were certainly 5 for 44. It was 5 for 30 something after about 4 overs. They were miles behind the game, chasing 159. Kohli finishes 83 off 52. I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's something like that.
That was 3 down.
All these numbers seem ridiculous just in the notion that they were 3 down. You're right.
4.
No, because Axar came in early, didn't he? So
he came in at 5, then he was out.
He was out.
Pandya and Kohli at 4 down.
It's lucky Kohli actually won the games. He actually burnt Axar Patel big time.
Oh, yeah. And he missed that run out at the start. I didn't think it was a perfect game at all.
Just saying all these numbers, but it's just actually ridiculous because it's one of those games, well, he should have got 100 to make it actually the perfect innings. But, I mean, whatever the numbers are in the game, it was just the most remarkable innings. Flawless in a way. Was it flawless? It was chanceless.
He struggled early, but
I don't know if he struggled as a matter of just keeping the game, making it go as deep as possible.
Pakistan were great.
They were fantastic.
For that amount of time.
And really should have won the game.
Yeah, they should have won the game.
Except for one bloke.
It was just one of those games where, the India looked dead and buried for the large majority of it. It was a new ball wicket. Pakistan shaded India for the new ball, I think, in both innings, if you compare both innings. And Kohli and Pandya were trying to reconstruct something. Pandya was lacking fluency almost the entire innings. Pakistan's quicks were quicker than India's. At one point in the game, Nazim Shah and Haris Rauf looked not unplayable, but no one was able to get them away.
So it was lightning, wasn't it?
It was quick. And then they settled into a pattern of bowling, off speed into the wicket. The square boundary at the MCG are just gargantuan.
Yep.
They stationed 4 blokes out there, and India could not find a boundary for love nor money, and they attempted both.
It's an allegation.
That's right. Yes. And then Kohli went into God mode out of nowhere. First time in a couple of years. But we saw, and that was the privilege really. Wondered whether God mode had left Kohli in some way. Of course, he was always going to be able to eke out excellent contributions for his country as we head into a career that's closer to the finish than the start. That's what you meant to say. So, you don't say someone's about to retire or anything like that. But
like Finchie's going to smoke him the next game.
Come to that. But he actually worked his way back into God mode, and it was just a sight to behold. I just want to say with the game, like the Kohli greatness is the thing you'll tell grandkids about, but the thing I can't really get over is is what the fans brought. Like the fans is that piece of the game that's like you're at the MCG, and look, I'm sure he won't mind us saying this, right? But sure. People will understand, especially if you're a footy person, a Victorian footy person, and
welcome back to the show.
West of there. But we ran into Gerard Whateley at the press box.
Gerald.
And, Gerald, sorry. There was someone else in the press box there who called him Gerald Wheatley. Whichever way you like to do it. I prefer to call him his name, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
We bumped into him, and I said something to the effect of like, "Gee, it's got to rank highly, for you, doesn't it?" And this is a guy he's probably seen a couple of.
He's seen some shit.
Seen a couple of sports, and he I'm sure he won't mind us saying, but it has to be among the greatest, the greatest events at and sporting occurrences at the MCG at this ground. It was like it was being blessed. So. And it's just so funny as I say this, man. I mean, we don't need to sully the excellence of the occasion, but like there's this thing that sits in the back of my mind of like, if we spend this amount of time talking about a great moment in Indian cricket, like, is there going to be this sort of, this kind of silent backlash from others who aren't from India going, "Oh, why are you talking about this?" But
I think there will be. Yeah, I think there will be.
But in and of it, I mean, how can you go past? It ended up being 90,000 at the MCG.
Yeah.
It was just a sea of green and blue, probably 65-35, I reckon, for the crowd.
Yep.
Never seen a scenario where, like, India hits a boundary and everyone in blue goes up, and then Pakistan does something good, and you think everyone in the crowd is in blue, and then all this green goes up, and they're all sitting amongst each other.
It's the loudest story you've heard, and it's only 35% of the crowd,
And the DJ got it right. They had Pakistani songs, Indian songs.
No one's talking about the DJ. Got it right, I thought.
DJ's had a great game. And they're dancing with all their songs every ball, and it's like, in Australia it's like you hear low guttural roars from blokes with beers.
Yeah.
At this game, no one was at the bar.
Mate,
the bars were fucking empty.
Yeah,
like it was bales of hay going through.
Absolute day out. No line for the bar. Don't worry about that. Yeah. I mean, my experience of going to the cricket as a young person up until probably recently would be you go to the cricket to watch the cricket on the TV at the bar.
That's right.
He's like, come out, fuck, he's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Two, thanks.
Yeah.
5 cougars, thanks. Thanks for making those.
Hey, that woman from that ad actually. There's a little story about that at school.
That woman's name?
I didn't know her name, but I went to for various reasons I had to attend the year 12 formal when I was in year 11 at our school. So it was a year above me. And
you had to.
What I did, it was a requirement. But one guy who didn't have a date turned up with an escort. She may not have been escorted, but it was the 5 cougars bed. Do you imagine the school? I just forgot that is. But that was like his crowning moment. Like, it was the funniest thing he'd ever done. this, absolute bombshell turns up to the formal. It's the talk of the night. And I mean, a couple of boys, 15, 16, 17 years of age.
Oh, that
pretty
is unbelievable.
She's off the 5 Cougars.
Unbelievable. See you later.
So you just reminded me of that.
Rolls up with a Ford Escort.
Oh, mate.
See you later.
It was
well, a mutual friend of ours.
He married a really good friend of mine, lady.
Really?
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah, right.
A really good family.
He's
a funny guy.
I bet he is.
I just want to know he's got on the internet. Just gone. Yep. Oh, he's got
blonde.
Coley, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, a mutual friend of ours went to his U-Tour formal with Jackie O. As in not Jackie Onassis, but
very dignified.
But Jackie O of Kyle and Jackie O, yeah. As like you call it, the radio station sorted it out like it was it was a thing. Anyway, what happened in this game? Yeah, Coley. Guess Coley's good. I mean, it bodes nice. I mean, that group does look a little bit more skewed towards India and Pakistan going through, though South Africa are in that group as well. And, they won 4 out of 5 games last World Cup and they didn't make it through on net run rate. The loss to Australia was the only one they had last World Cup.
Right. You
feel like they've got good players, certainly got a good bowling attack. I mean, the game against Pakistan for South Africa, I mean, that is just some serious quick pace in that. I'm not sure where they play against each other, but at the beginning of this game, Pez, there was talk about how the wicket was no good for a T20 game. Rizwan got hit in the hand early, was going through the chest. I was fucking excited. I was half mast for most of that game. It was electric. But, that actually sort of provided some of the spice of it as well. It allowed Pakistan to get into the game. It rewarded good batting as well. It rewarded patient batting in the end. A master player playing one of his greatest ever innings was able to do that, even despite the wicket being difficult. But it's sort of all added to the occasion. I agree with you though, mate. Like the fan experience, obviously, that we were just fans as well, being there. I guess we're doing some work, but like the fan experience was just that's the thing I'll never ever forget, like that experience of like the sheer joy. I didn't see any hostility or anything. I actually saw a lot of a meshing of teams. It wasn't like it wasn't fucking Galatasaray away.
We put a clip out just on YouTube, sort of covering a couple of interviews with fans outside the ground.
Interviews is a generous term. Yeah.
Babar Azam, out of form. But there was one moment, I don't think it made the final cut. There was one moment where the Pakistanis and Indians came together and like they were yelling things at each other in a language I didn't understand. I'm holding the microphone and I'm like, oh, is this getting hairy or what?
Yeah.
I might have just been saying off speed was the go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Anyway. Yeah, it was a cultural experience.
Great fun.
Really. And it's always amazing in your own country to watch 2 other countries show how they enjoy the game of cricket that they love. It's not as wrapped up in a lot of the shit we go on about. But mate,
some guys had come from those host countries. Some guys had come from, or some men and women had come from America. Some guys got the tram.
Exactly.
But it was fucking, fucking great.
You just saw an Indian guy and you're like, mate, what have you done to get here? He's like, caught the tram.
Hey, Brunswick just got the 404 or whatever. Just said some numbers, I got no idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Not from me myself.
Yeah. Catches public transport.
Anyway, fucking what a game. All right, let's talk about Australia, New Zealand, man. So a fair bit's happened in the week since we last spoke.
Yeah.
I suppose it's actually been 8 days because we released a podcast early because we moved to this new space here, this new studio of which we've, half decked out, but, there's been a bit going on ourselves in our lives. So, Pat Cummins, the new ODI captain. Josh Inglis was playing a round of golf and then split his hand open somehow. And then Cam Graham is miraculously the backup keeper. So can we start there? Can we start there with that?
You should. I'm happy to feel if you want to go to your car now and bring out a club and we literally can go through questioning what happens here.
Do you want to do it?
I'll Phil.
All right, let's go.
Phil. Yeah, all right. Yeah, anyway, she looked unbelievable at the formal. I still remember it. And if my wife Tori's listening, it's just real life. I was 15 and the 5 Cougars woman turns up to to the formal. You're obviously gonna pay attention to that, aren't you? I didn't see the problem. I was young. I was just learning. All right, let's go. Okay. Now,
what are we looking at?
Okay, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to understand this. If you're listening through the ears, as a lot of people do, then I'm going to describe what Hugo's is doing. But Hugo's is taking out his club at the moment. Now,
I've got a little 9-iron here.
Yeah,
it was on part 3, wasn't it?
That's right. I mean, should we bring up the actual statement that was made pertaining to his injury, or as we'd like to say, vis-a-vis his injury? So I'll just write Josh Inglis injury statement. CA what was. Okay. So from cricket.com.au, the headline is Inglis suffers bizarre injury on golf course. Unusual incident turned relaxing day on the fairways into minor medical emergency after backup keeper's golf club snapped clean in his hand.
Fuck me.
Now let's scroll down to the. Let's scroll down to the quotes.
Yeah.
So Matt, they've rolled out Matt Wade on cricket.com.au.
Oh, Wadey.
Yeah. So that's not explaining it at all. And then there's nothing in there. Inglis was left with a severely cut hand after the handle of the club he was swinging snapped upon impact.
Okay.
While he was playing golf at the New South Wales Golf Club on Botany Bay's Northern Headland.
Beautiful club.
So on impact, presumably I mean impact with the ball. Right, here you go. Here goes. Now people are going to be looking at your swing. Whatever. Say what you need to say. Fucking internet nonsense. But here we go. So you got your backswing. That's nice. Yeah, you pull it back. You're on plane there too. That's nice to see. So mirror work recently. Thank you. He guys just said if you didn't hear, he's been doing some mirror work recently. I can believe that. Now.
I can't get a full swing in.
You can't get a full swing, but so impact. Now the club snaps clean. Now what kind of movement or direction of the club do things happened on impact? So you'd think it's the club digging into the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
Has he fucking shanked it?
Well, he has. I mean, that's how does a club snap? It's not surely on impact with the ball. He's just hit it that well. The club just can't deal with the sheer speed of his hands. Fast hands.
So he's fucking chunked it. He's fucking chunked it big time. So he's whacked that's how I can now buy into this a little bit more.
Okay.
So he's like, so he's fucking chunked it. He's fucking Chunk City.
Yeah. USA. Yeah. Chunk City, USA.
Okay, so
speak up, please.
It hits the ground. And the club at the point where he's holding the club with his right hand, bottom hand, because he bats right-handed, right-handed. This
is a JFK movie.
Hand's taped up. Back and to the left.
Yeah.
Has snapped off from where he must have.
But how badly has he shanked it?
He must have has he hit a fucking rock? But it was teeing off on a par 3, wasn't he?
Yeah, but all of these details were omitted, or not included. That he hit a rock or something like that. I mean, the truth is that he wasn't even playing golf that day, probably.
Okay, so it's then snapped in his right hand to the point where the grip is, by the way. So it's where the grip is on the club.
Yeah, because right-handed.
A rubbery thing, So it's snapped off and it's cut his hand so badly that there must be.
His hand is still on the club.
His hand must be still on the club.
But it must have snapped in the middle of where his right hand was.
Has to be.
Have you ever heard of that in golf?
I've never heard of that. Yeah. Also, if a club head snaps, it's on the actual
on the face of the club,
face of it,
not at the handle.
I've seen this bit go before. I've seen it plenty of times.
They've had 3 weeks to concoct this, obviously, and someone must have gone, I remember an injury that a friend of mine had where they did their hand. Because you have to get it right. What kind of injury is it? How do we do it so that no one can actually verify the injury?
It's the perfect timing as well because it was the day before.
Yeah.
And so it's okay, if anyone does go down, let's not make a change. Let's leave it all the way to the end of the window.
Yeah.
And then it's okay, now it's the wicketkeeper, the person we're least likely to use.
Yeah.
Josh Inglis is the least likely person to be used in the squad. Now, it is a risky ploy, of course, because if something happens to Wade, then you're in a bit of trouble. Warner can do it. Apparently Stark's done some stuff in the past or some shit, I don't know. But then there's absolutely no regard for bringing in an Inglis, bringing in a Philippe or any of the other keepers, Ben McDermott or whatever. Yeah. It's just straight into Greeny.
Cam Green. So
and then in my mind, it makes the whole squad way better.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still shit, but the squad's better.
The player with the least chance of playing suffers a bizarre, unverifiable injury.
Yeah, out in the wilderness.
24 hours before the World Cup starts.
Yeah.
And Cam Green's in. It's all of George Bailey and Andrew McDonald's Christmases came at once. You know, when Inglis calls them blood fucking streaming from his hand. Yeah. McDonald's playing in the group behind, apparently. Yeah. He's got, tendons hanging out of his hand, apparently.
Yeah.
McDonald must be going like, bad luck, mate. Yeah, that's really crueled your dream.
Grainy.
Yeah, great.
It's done. Unless they're doing a seance. It's also a perfect injury, Pez, because he doesn't have to walk with a limp. He didn't do an Achilles or a hamstring. Right. You just tape up the hands.
That's right.
Bandages fucking everywhere. It's like a fucking a teddy bear.
Yep.
A little bandage bear there.
That's right. Put him in a little store at the bottom of a hospital. You know what I mean? Purchase him.
Now, has Inglis bought into this project so much, he's like, you know what, boys, I'm going to take one for the team.
That's right.
What's more likely? What's more likely?
Exactly.
Just saying.
Yeah. Now, what I love even more.
Yeah, I was going to say, if none of this is true and Josh has just had his World Cup dreams shattered, well, then, I apologise. Yeah. Just saying. I'm just saying. I like a conspiracy theory myself.
I love that. I love that nobody in the Australian press appears to care about this.
Really? Is this happening?
Inglis is just like, wow, people really give a fuck about my performance in the World Cup. We're all complicit. Oh, Green's in.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem anything suspicious about that injury. Just the old golf club snapping their hands the day before and Green's in.
The classic.
No problem.
Snapping at the top of the club.
That's right. Replace a keeper with an all-rounder.
Who can open the batting, bowl 4 overs, good fielder.
6 points in a song, job done.
I really hope this isn't too insensitive to Josh Inglis.
All I'm
saying is I just want to see a photo of the scar because he must have stitches, so there's going to be a scar on his hand. I just want to see the scar. I just want to see it.
Just unwrap your bandage and just show us, no problem.
Now, none of this matters because Australia is fucking dog shit.
Okay. Flip it up.
The opening game of the World Cup. We're all excited. New Zealand haven't beat Australia in any format for 11 years or some shit.
Yeah, or some shit.
And let me tell you, that was a fucking clinic that the Kiwis put on. They were fantastic. Yep. Absolutely fantastic. Finn Allen, Devon Conway, Williamson played his part as well, and the bowling, Southey, what was it, 3 for 6 or some shit?
Yeah.
I haven't got any of these numbers in front of me, by the way, so I'm just guessing. But then I do have this number, Australia all out for 111, not even close at any point. And now it looks like a hapless team that's been performing inconsistently for 2 years. That's what it looks like. But then, Sri Lanka tomorrow night, so probably dust then.
Well, it's so fickle, the format. I think Zampa used that word, and it's so volatile. Yeah. Any time something happens in a game, you think, oh, okay, that's what that team is, and then they're just liable to do something completely different next time. But yeah, I mean, at what point, we're joking, saying Australia's building really nicely. In T20 cricket, you want to be peaking at the right time. There's literally no other time to waste for Australia now. They have to be perfect from here on in.
Yes.
To make the final.
They must win every game to win the tournament.
And even then, they're in trouble. And as you pointed out, England, should Australia get past Sri Lanka, who won,
they smashed
Ireland.
Thank you.
Sri Lanka now with a great net run rate.
Yes.
England, interestingly, didn't push it despite Afghanistan making a small score. But I think the wicket was tough there as well. England stand poised to knock Australia out at the MCG on Friday. So Mitch Marsh has said, look, well, we're where we want to be and where we need to be with our backs against the wall.
Okay.
It's kind of like... some people have sexual proclivities where they can only get it up in certain circumstances, and that's the Aussie team. Like, man, I don't get out of bed unless fucking we're about to be knocked out. I need to be choked, I need to be on the edge of fucking death here to fucking feel anything.
That's right. A bag over my head. I need to be in a hostage situation before I can get anywhere close.
That's what happens with people in cricket. Like, sorry to do insider stuff. You rock around the press box last night. Some of the luminaries of the game, they're sitting there eating their chicken tikka masala while Shaheen's bowling a Rohit Sharma in front of 100,000. He's sitting there quietly. I'll just watch it on the box.
Because AFLW on the screen.
Cricket desensitizes you, I think, at that top level. They're like they see so much of it, and maybe the Aussies are like that as well. They can't get up unless there's a bag over their head. In cricket terms, there's a bag over our head now, boys. Let's rock. Let's play.
Now we play. Well, to that end, England have a remarkable opportunity to remarkable. They just
well, it is. I mean, I'd say it's likely at this point, really.
Who is more likely to win that game in the MCG? England, who have won lots of games. They've smashed Australia 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row.
Who's more likely to win?
Who's more likely
Australia.
to win that game? Yeah, Australia.
Australia, without doubt. That's how things work.
Yeah,
I mean,
mate, it's at the MCG.
You know, it's T20 cricket is so interesting in the sense that, like, if you squint with any team, you can kind of see what you want to see with it.
Yeah.
And like, if you squint, you can look at a lot of holes in the Australian side. Like, for example, in that scenario they were in where they were chasing a big score, the run rate was increasing. They didn't seem to have a team to be able to repair an innings. You know, they have a batting lineup that Warner and Wade aside are largely get their edge from power hitting, you know, rather than kind of the ability to manipulate the field or to take a game deep or put it this way, to face 45 to 50 balls in an innings. You know, like I'm not saying those guys aren't skillful enough to do it, but they're not known for that. There's a lot of guys, you know, even from Maxwell onwards, who more gear their game around, you know, 25 to 30 balls max. That's a great innings for them because they lead with 50 plus runs. But they needed someone there who could do that. Smith's a guy on the side who does that, though he just, you know, the game kind of looks to have passed him by. He's got great skills, but interestingly, like their only chance to win that game, I felt, was to take it deep and try and be perfect in the last 4 overs. But they didn't have guys who could take it deep.
That's what Kohli did last night with Pandya.
Exactly. So. But that's just me squinting, going, well, here's one problem with the side. They seem a bit kind of power heavy, but that's what happens when you lose. And then you look at the bowlers. It's just data and fact to say that, you know, Cummins seems to leak and go at a fair few runs and over, and has for quite a long time. Mitchell Starc hasn't really moved the ball or hit his Yorker for quite a while.
He did have a good game against the West Indies. I think he took 4 for though in the West Indies. I mean, but I agree.
And he bowled okay in this game as well. I think is a best, not of a bad bunch, but kind of a penetrative bunch.
Well, they scored 200 in a game that Australia got right up for 110. So like it was it's,
and so you sort of go, okay, there's obviously a lot of talent in the side, but They just sort of scraped past the West Indies. They've been dusted by England. Probably would have been 3-0 but for a washout. India beat them. Now they've lost to New Zealand. So they kind of lost 5 on the bounce. Yeah, you know, what are we looking at here, boys? And
show us something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
I mean, I completely agree, because like you look at the Australian players, and you know, first and foremost, which is actually important to this country these days as well, that like they're an extremely likable team. Every single one of those guys are extremely likable. But you know, you look at the team, and there are really good players in that team, and like that on their day, they're all really they're all match winners, all of them. It does feel like though that the truth lies in that the captain hasn't been able to hit a ball for 2 years. The ODI and Test captain is going at 10s and has done for about 3 years. There are better players who aren't of the Test match pedigree who would be more suited as other nations fit in. They don't just go for their Test 11. And it feels like there are guys who are really out of form, and it doesn't sort of it's not gelling together for whatever reason. That feels like more like the truth of what is happening now. If I'm those players, especially the captain, he is either the best or in the top 3 best T20 players Australia has ever had in a very new format, to be said. But there's Watson, Warner, and Finch. Those are our 3 best ever players, right? And if I'm him, I'm like, fuck that. I'm not leaving. Like I'm kicking and screaming. I'm doing.
Yeah, he's right.
He's exactly. But it does feel like he should have been put out of his misery a while ago. It should have been taken out of his hand. Like, I mean, it's not a dissimilar situation to Owen Morgan, who did decide to leave about 6 months ago, didn't he? Now, like, Finch is going to play these games. There's no way they're going to change the side. They're not going to bring Cameron Green in for this game against England, which is now going to decide whether Australia even go through. And even if they do, their net run rate now is -4. That's how bad they are.
I don't know what that means, but it's bad.
It's bad. It's bad. Now, they could smash Ireland. They could smash Sri Lanka. They could smash who the other team is in the group. Can't think of the other team. Afghanistan. I don't know. I mean, you look at South Africa last year. They won 4 out of 5. They didn't make it through on net run rate. I mean, you can't get pumped by 90 runs in a T20 game and expect anything other than like, well, I mean, to be fair, this is where the team wants to be. So I retract that.
I suppose like the defensive Finch is there's and people who've played cricket will understand this. Doesn't matter what level it is. There are certain players in cricket where you always feel like everyone else plays better when they're in the team, and that seems to be one defence of Aaron Finch. Even as his game has diminished, probably to put it a little bit mildly, he's still capable of contributions here or there. I don't feel like I've seen a Finch win a game for his country or look like he's able to take a team down for a little while. It's not to say that he can't be kind of passable in the side, and then on top of that, his captaincy is quite respected, it appears. It's hard to make comments on that when you're not in the team.
Don't know.
And he's a guy that a lot of people will regularly say make them feel better and play better.
For sure.
Like bowlers especially will say he always backs my plans, he always supports me. He seems to be a really great intermediary between like a lot of the test guys and the alternate alphas, in the Aussie ODI side. That matters in cricket, that someone can do that. Except it stops mattering when some of those players are underperforming a bit as well.
Yeah.
As it seems as though they are. At the moment, the batting lineup looks like they've got a world-class player in David Warner. He'd be in the world 11 of T20 opening batters. Yes. And if it doesn't come off for him, his other mate doesn't seem to be able to pick it up, at the moment. And so that places more pressure on David Warner, and in turn that places more pressure on a lot of the other guys like Mitch Marsh and other guys who have to come in much earlier. Maxwell feels a slot too early when your openers aren't dominating. Yes. And so it has a compounding effect. I honestly wonder, I thought Finch looked quite good at 4, controlling the game a little bit more, not having as much pressure on him with a swinging ball into his pads early on in the power play, coming in at 4, being able to have the opportunity to go at a run a ball and pick it up from there, control an innings and give the power guys a bit later a chance to dominate doing what they do. I wonder whether, if they sacrifice one of those guys to get Finch down at 4 or whatever, bring Green in to open the batting, might be a little bit of a more balanced lineup for them. That they have to be perfect, Australia now. Yeah. I doubt they'll do what I just said, but it does feel it just feels a bit out.
Absolutely. And then it's like, the captain has to play. They're not going to change the captain. So, I'm fucking riding every single ball he faces now because I just want him to succeed so much because I want my team to win and I want him to win.
Yeah.
And he's going to play. So, therefore, I'm just like, I fucking hope he hits every ball for 6. And when he hit Bolt for 6 over Cow, I was like, fucking here we go, baby. But it is. You look at every big nation, if I can be prejudiced like that. And all their openers can win them a game, opening the batting. And even like Finn Allen, for instance, just took the game away from Australia in the first few overs. Now, Finch can't do that anymore. If he can, he hasn't done it in a long time. That's Finn Allen, Devon Conway, Babar Azam, Rizwan, Hales, Butler, KL Rahul. Okay, he's gone through a rough trot. Rohit Sharma. Okay, he's a better player than Bavuma. Quinton de Kock, though. There are a number of players that I think that are all ahead of the Australian captain, and it's just like, well, I don't know, it doesn't feel right, unfortunately. But
it's a selector and coach issue. I think a captain's entitled to hang on as long as
I've got nothing against him.
Oh no, you're not saying that. I just want to clarify that. You know, and we may learn that Finch is a guy that needs a bag over his head sexually, and the bag's over his head. You know, the bag's over all of their head.
Yeah.
Their collective head, and let's see if it gets them horny.
Yeah, it just seems. You know, like if Australia loses one more game, then it's just all going to seem so obvious. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, and also, how did last year happen? How did that happen?
As Marsh said, back to the wall, bag over the head. Let's go, baby. Let's see.
Well, in the meantime, I mean, we should have spent more time talking about New Zealand, shouldn't we? Because once again, they look like a dangerous outfit in a big tournament.
Lock them in for a semi.
Lock them in for a semi.
One up the bum, though, I'm done.
Looking forward to see how they fuck this one up. They've won one game, fuck it up. That's really harsh. But they look good. They look good. Excellent bowling attack, nice bounce. Ish Sodhi bowled some good overs. Santner. Middle order, got some power there. Glenn Phillips didn't do much the other night, but he's got some power. Chapman played. Fuck, the fielding was outrageous. And Cam Williamson also almost looks like he could be on the chopping block as well somehow, you know, like he just, even though he played an important innings, sort of run a ball-ish towards the end. But look, New Zealand, they can always do some stuff, can't they? And that bowling attack, if it's swinging, fuck me.
Well said.
All right, England, Afghanistan. No, what are we talking about? Yeah, England, Afghanistan. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so New Zealand play Afghanistan Wednesday. Australia playing against Sri Lanka in Perth tomorrow night. That's at 10 p.m. on the East Coast.
I mean, fuck me. Australia in Perth on that absolutely lightning wicket against Sri Lanka. I mean, if we can't knock them over, then, you know...
See you later.
See you later. No chance. Yeah, bin. It's bin.
Fucking
next time,
bin.
USA 24, let's start.
Start the test. Start the test. Get Marnus in, a couple of runs.
Right.
Job
Win
done.
your series looking good.
Okay, so Australia, Sri Lanka in Perth tomorrow night in Perth. New Zealand, Afghanistan, that's on Wednesday. And then Australia and England is on Friday.
Yeah.
That's at the MCG, and that does feel like that's already a semi-final for the Australian side. Okay, England, Afghanistan. Afghanistan made 112. This is in Perth as well, Optus Stadium, and England got that 5 down. They had a little bit of a wobble, England, although they got off to a decent enough start thanks to some pretty poor fielding from Afghanistan. On the flip side, England's catching was fucking unreal. We're talking about this on our daily show. On YouTube and Patreon. 5 absolutely sensational catches. Livingston, Wokes caught and bowled. Adil Rashid running back over his head. Moeen Ali took another one. Butler down the leg side. It was fucking clinical. Sam Curran took 5 for 10 in that game as well. Cleaned up the tail really nicely. We should also say, Pez, that our dear friend Reece Topley did his ankle and is out of the World Cup. I think everyone already knows that. He rolled his ankle when landing on the boundary cushion. He did ligament damage. There are so many elements, which is really sad for him because obviously, I mean, we had actually heaps of nice messages. I'm not sure if Reece listens to this show, but we had so many nice messages about that interview saying that, like, you sound like a ripping bloke and you know, words to that effect. And the hardship that he's been through with, I think, 5 stress fractures and also his relationship with Australia, and it was understood that his parents were flying out to Perth to come and watch him play. And they were like in the air when I think his injury happened and, you know, all that shit. So that is just fucking grim for him. And you know, he got himself into a position to be a really important figure in this side. And you know, that really sucks. So, yeah, I mean, England, you know, it was Afghanistan. They're bowling out for a cheap total, but, you know, they controlled the things that they could control sensationally. And for the most part, I'm talking about the catching there. But, I mean, England, I mean, they seem to be going out of their way to say that we're not the favourites. To me, they look as good as anyone else, if not the best.
They look the best. I think they are favourites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
I still think Australia's going to win this pretty easily, but...
I'm looking forward to seeing how Australia do it for a bit. Yeah, it'll be a hell of a journey.
Said the same thing when they were 7 for 80 the other night.
Yeah, well, I said the same thing when they lost 6 on the bounce in the West Indies and Bangladesh too. I wanted to win that. So, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a celebration.
The next game for England is Ireland in Melbourne. Afghanistan, New Zealand, as I said before, that's also in Melbourne. Both those games are on Wednesday night. Anything you want to say about England?
They look really balanced. You're right. There was a wobble, but Afghanistan have good spinners. They fielded poorly, Afghanistan, but I suppose highlights for England are like Mark Wood just bowled absolutely rapid. I think it's the fastest consistent spell in T20 cricket ever. No ball beneath 140 k's an hour.
Yeah.
I think he's the quickest going around, Mark Wood. So I'm looking forward to seeing him at the MCG. They're very balanced at the top. They've got 2 world-class opening bats. Dawid Malan can come in and control, manipulate the field. He can go if he needs to, but he then sets up the innings for the guys who come after him as well. Their fielding is obviously outstanding. Sam Curran is, sorry if you already spoke about him, he's one of the best T20 players in world cricket right now.
Yeah, he might be the form bowler in the world right now. Yeah,
that's right. And so everything's coming up England. So it's a shame for them this Friday because that actually means you're not looking good, paradoxically.
Too early.
Yeah, you're gone too early. So yeah, England look great.
We're going to the game on Friday, are we? And we're also outside the ground.
Yeah, we'll be doing Sidemouth. If you're around, come say good day.
So if you don't know what Sidemouth is, you can go on YouTube. We've done 2 now. We did one for the Boxing Day test, and then we did one last night for India Pakistan. So it was really good fun. Don't know if it's going to be the same energy, but I think there should be some very confident English men and women. So come and say good day.
Friday night too. Big week at work. I think there'll be a few more beers around than there were last night as well.
Bars will be packed.
Yeah,
bars will be packed.
Bars will be packed.
Yeah.
So it should be a good game, subject to Australia getting past Sri Lanka at Perth, which, as you so eloquently said, if they can't, bin. I'm a man of letters.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the World Cup. Okay, so the West Indies failed to qualify. They lost to Ireland by 9 wickets in the final game of the qualifiers.
Sad.
That is fucking... Yeah, Ricky Ponting said it was a disgrace. Desmond Haynes said that we're not going to force guys to play for the West Indies. You know, it's getting to that kind of territory. Right. I mean, it's just it's so grim. You know, especially when like a lot of those guys don't want to play Test cricket, they want to focus on the T20 side, and they're not even making fucking the latter stages, the Super 12s of a World Cup. And it's so disappointing because they've got some serious players that can light up any tournament. So the tournament is lesser for not having them there. Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, and Netherlands also qualified with Ireland, so they're all through. Sri Lanka beat Ireland yesterday in the warm-up game to India, Pakistan over there in Hobart. They smashed them by 9 wickets. Bangladesh are playing Netherlands right now as we're recording this, and South Africa gets underway for their first game against Zimbabwe, an all-African affair in Hobart tonight. That's where you would play the African derby, Hobart.
Well, is it a famous
the
derby?
African derby?
The African derby.
I don't know. I'm just trying to get some footy stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So that is what's all happening. So I hope people are getting into the World Cup. Like,
do you reckon Australia's getting into the World Cup, the country?
Hard to tell. Have you
got your finger on the pulse? What's the temperature of the nation vis-a-vis the T20 World Cup?
A little lukewarm, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, outside the MCG, we got to the ground about 4 or 5 hours before the first ball, and there were thousands of people outside the ground, and it was energy. It was so much fun. That felt like there was a World Cup happening. We didn't stay in Sydney for the first game against Australia and New Zealand. Though there was decent. There was 40,000 people there.
There just were not 40,000 people at that ground at the SCG.
Well, a sellout now is 50, I think, at the SCG.
It wasn't 4/5. I don't know. You know, it looked for a game that they were billing as sold out.
Sold out. It was nowhere near sold out.
It was just there were pockets of empty seats around.
Yeah.
I just wonder. Like in Australia, it's like we have the winter footy season and we have summer cricket season. And this is we're in changeover season at the moment. It's more sort of a jasmine-y smell, and I that's just how we roll. You know,
it's almost jacaranda season, isn't it?
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. That's when those beers start flowing. I don't know.
We're in sort of MJ Bale season. People are putting suits in for spring carnival. It's more racing season, if anything.
We've been speaking, we've been speaking on this for a little while, but world cricket is just going towards T20. That's just where it's going, and that's not the country's relationship with the sport.
It hasn't really taken off. Yeah,
it's Christmas. That's what the sport is.
But also cricket is like summer. It's still confusing. There's formats deluxe. There's 3 formats. You got the 100 and there's T10s knocking about.
And unless it's in Australia to watch it, it's shocking times. Okay, first session of the Ashes in England, you can watch that. It starts at like 8 o'clock, doesn't it? 8:30, something like that. Everywhere else, midnight, 1 a.m. So it's actually no wonder where we actually only pay attention to stuff here. It's just not really on.
Exactly.
And you can't access it because there's no internet here yet.
Yeah, that's right.
You listen to the Great Cricketer Podcast. Well, as ever, Pez, the Great Cricketer Podcast is presented by Budgy Smuggler, who have been long-term partners of ours, and in turn, us them.
Kind of implied. But are you partners with them? Do you love them?
This is my wife, and in turn, I am her husband.
She gets around me, and I, in turn, get around her in a circular motion, sometimes with a knife. Sort of. Fucking hell.
And this is my son.
That's like a cockfight.
I had plenty of those in great cricket, cockfights in the tubs.
Mate, I had plenty of them at fucking functions as well. That's a big cock off.
All right, but Budgy Smuggler, they're dipping the toe in the water in the old underwear there.
Mate, they're mate.
All right.
Budgy Smuggler are launching, I believe, for the first time, an underwear range.
Okay.
So we're not just talking about swimwear now. We're getting into undies.
Good.
They are built for Australia. They are lightweight. They are breathable. This is the real deal. You can get Budgy Smuggler underwear in your favourite Smuggler prints. Going to tell you what they cost soon, and you're going to get an enormous discount with a code that TGC is about to offer. But for every pair you buy, $1 goes to the Black Dog Institute. They want people to feel good, both literally about the fabric and the product, but also about the broader impact they're having on the community. Here are the prices, and these are very, very reasonable prices for excellent underwear. You can get a pair of Budgies underwear for $29. Or you can get 5. You can get a bundle, which is 5 for $105. Now, if you get a bundle, then you can get 20% off that as well with the code we're about to give you. So if you want 20% off either one or a bundle, use the code ALPHA, ALPHA. Use the code ALPHA. You're going to get 20% off.
20% off.
20% off that bad boy.
I'm sick of giving these codes value non-stop.
It's just valued. What? Sorry about that.
On
sorry
a free show.
Sorry about the value.
Boys, cut the ads.
Yeah. Now it's valid. It's valid till November 5 only.
Okay.
But they're launching this tomorrow, so you're going to see a whole bunch of content around Budgy underwear.
Yeah.
But these guys don't fuck around Budgy with this stuff. Like Budgy's got more arms and legs to it than simple budgies that go over your genitals and your and whatever else. They're branching out. It's apparel, and now it's Budgy underwear. Been waiting for this moment, and we know they're sneaking up on a couple other brands. We're not going to name, Mr. Speaker, but it is a great Australian brand, made in Australia, lightweight, breathable. What more could you want in some underwear? And you get the 20% off with the code ALPHA at checkout.
Go follow Budgy go follow Budgy Smuggler on socials as well.
Don't go follow Budgies at smuggler.com because that's something the government's looking into at the moment.
That's right.
That's a more complex issue because we should be more hospitable to refugees.
They got some good shit on socials, what I'm saying. T20 Stars, Pez. Let's talk about T20 Stars because we've got a little something coming up with them this week.
We do. If we can sort it out.
We're back in the net. We're going to try and get back in the nets this week.
Haven't talked to Cricket Victoria about this yet, but if you did follow our content the other day.
We only net at professional facilities.
I need to see how fast the ball's coming down. And
that's
stuff like
right.
That.
That's right.
If you'd followed us the other week, we had a little bit of a net, received a lot of feedback on various technical issues, and a lot of it was very poor feedback. But we were doing all of that in preparation for this net we're having with Shane Watson.
Was that what that was for?
Yeah, that's right.
Prep.
Yeah,
it was prep.
We were drunk, so
don't remember.
Yeah. And so that net with Shane Watson is happening on Thursday.
Oh, shit, okay.
I'm not really sure how we're going to do it. Like if we're just in the ball machine, are we going to be bowling to Watto? I'm going to be in absolute bits if that's the case, and that will be heavily edited footage, believe me. Do I want to get bombed by Watto? It might be fun first or second time, then it's just going to bring back bad memories. Yeah. But either way, it's going to be you, me, and Shane Watson in a net, just again testing out T20 Stars kit.
He's going to get annoyed when like the ball keeps going on the top of the net and you got to like hit your bat on top of the net a couple of times to get it back over. And come on, lads, fuck's sake.
But until that point, and there may be a little chat with Watto as well that we're putting out here.
That'd be nice.
Until that point, you can get excellent deals on bundles at t20stars.com. Cricket season has begun, except in Victoria where it's just raining, so you can still get your
They haven't played yet, have they?
Yeah. It's
4 weeks in a row?
Unbelievable.
Fuck me.
Head to t20stars.com. Amazing deals on bundles that they've got. You're getting 15% off. Use the code TGC15. See what happens. You're getting 15% off at T20 Stars. 15% off at T20 Stars. Amazing deals with bundles there. And again, we're hugely appreciative of the partnership with T20 Stars. And just to be clear, they're in partnership with us too.
Faf du Plessis has a new book called Faf Through the Fire, which comes out on Friday. Okay, Pez, can I read you some quotes?
Please.
Have you read this stuff?
No.
Okay. During the first test in Durban, du Plessis writes, the Australian pace attack had got the ball to reverse insanely. Mitchell Starc claimed 9 wickets, and although I regard him as one of the best proponents of reverse swing bowling I have ever seen or faced, those deliveries in Durban were borderline unplayable. He would come in around the wicket with a badly deteriorated ball and get it to hoop past us. Our balls had also reversed, but not nearly as much as theirs. We suspected that someone had been nurturing the ball too much to get it to reverse so wildly, and we watched the second test of St George's through binoculars so that we could follow the ball more closely while Australia was fielding. When we noticed that the ball was going to David Warner quite often, our changing room must have looked like a bird watching hide as we peered intently through our binoculars. There was a visible difference between how Mitchell Starc got the ball to reverse in the first test in Durban and the final test in Joburg. We now know that there was an obvious reason for that. I'm not mentioning this atop a high horse. In the past, we have also been found guilty of employing unorthodox methods to get the ball to reverse swing. In our team, we just thought, ball tampering and reverse swing have always been there. In fact, it was probably more prevalent when camera technology wasn't as good as it is today. Personally, I don't think Steve Smith did much wrong. It's no secret that all cricket teams want the ball to reverse. Not everyone knows how to accomplish this, especially not inexperienced players. Not inexperienced players. But everyone knows it's wrong to change the condition of the ball. We too have pushed those boundaries. Steve Smith and I have never been friends, but we always played a hard game against each other. And Steve had been willing to defend me publicly in 2016 when Mintgate, inverted commas, broke.
Didn't know that was a gate.
Oh, yeah. I texted him that evening in Cape Town.
I just didn't know it got gate status.
I got gate status, yeah.
I know there was a mint issue. I just didn't know it elevated itself to gate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So he's talking about texting Steve Smith. He said, I texted him that evening in Cape Town. Message of support there. Sorry, now I'm reading the text. Message of support. Gone through this myself. It is a terrible experience when they attack your character. Hang in there. It will blow over. He responded, thanks, mate.
Exclamation mark.
Thanks, mate. Exclamation mark. To which I replied, there will be a shitstorm for a while, but stay strong. He then continues, I have tremendous sympathy for what he, Bancroft, went through. This is what happens in a team when the culture of belonging is restricted to performance and when players are made to believe that they need to prove themselves at any cost before they feel accepted. I'm going to stop reading the quotes now.
A few responses to that, which, just never not interesting. I like, you can tell there's been some legal eagling over various verbs that he uses. What word should I use to describe our suspicions about what they were doing to the ball? Someone had been nurturing the ball.
Nurturing.
Nurture is just such a positive term, isn't it?
Yeah.
I get nurtured from, my mother.
Yeah.
Oh, you nurture a child.
Yes. At the nursery.
That's right.
And
so I like that. I like at least he's saying they were very kind to that ball, raising it well.
Oh, beautiful.
Ensuring it had a good education.
Yeah.
Making sure that it was fed and watered and sheltered really nicely.
Yeah.
It was given everything. A child could want.
All opportunities.
That's right. A pony. Anything.
It's weird because it wasn't a white ball.
We must have looked like a bird watching Hyde. Now, I like also then when he refers to their, he doesn't use the word nurturing for what they did. It's unorthodox methods to get the ball to reverse swing. And then he says,
that's an unorthodox method.
Yeah. Look, I'll grant you it's unorthodox.
Like David Brent, against the grain, not orthodox.
On the one hand, he says, ball tampering and reversing has always been there. We've always felt that. Just like, well, someone tipped off Farney de Villiers at Supersport or whatever that is because they seemed pretty more interested in players doing stuff to the ball than I've ever seen from any other TV network before. But they're entitled to do that. I'm not saying, that's where it went wrong.
I got to say, all of that was pretty funny.
Oh.
Like it being all synchronized was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like that's a fucking Australia straight into the honey trap. Like that's not funny.
Yeah, I'll just follow it round. It was a perfect storm.
Yeah,
and then Faf just letting Steve know, look, I've been something through similar through. It was a blow over. I was like, well, I'm not sure it really sort of blew over for Steve.
He's being escorted out of the airport by the police at that stage. Nah, don't worry about it, mate.
We've all been through it. I Mintgate myself. Mint
Fuck's
what?
Yes.
So, and his point at the end about Bancroft is true. It is interesting. Is we watch. He doesn't actually say. We noticed something happened when Dave Warner had the ball, right? And there's no real suggestion that Warner was using sandpaper, and he doesn't actually explain what it is that they saw Warner doing. There's all sorts of anecdotal stuff about what the Aussies had been doing prior to sandpaper.
During the time Broad was talking about why they got the Ashes that got to swing. That was in 2017 or something. How did it swing there? Yeah.
But there's all these things just ladder up to what Faf ultimately says, which is we were all doing
Everyone was doing it.
It was just a really dumb fucking visceral kind of method that made people go oh, what? And then obviously both those guys paid for every mistake that has ever happened in Australian cricket under the kind of dimension of general ugliness for 40 years. Anyway, but it looks like the wheels are in motion to lift that leadership ban. So, and now Faf's book's coming out and he follows us on Instagram.
It was noted by a number of people in the press that he talks about he has great sympathy, tremendous sympathy indeed for Cameron Bancroft, and he said he had support for Smith as well. And he had no mention of Warner.
Less so for David.
And then, I don't know if you've seen this, but Usman was sort of laughing at the idea that the Aussies were doing stuff before the series. And, I think there's been another statement by some of the bowlers perhaps, or CA that like this is completely inaccurate, this version of events.
What, in relation to this, Faf's comments?
Yeah, this morning,
I was at this morning. I completely missed that.
No, well, why? I can't believe that, mate. Fucking hell. So, it's just one of those things where, I'm going to completely agree with Faf, and, there are other things at play where they just don't need this to be brought up again. But there's one guy who's got the codes, and Faf wasn't one of them. One guy's got the codes still.
It's just the truth comes out though. It doesn't matter how much you try and suppress it. It's just come out one day.
But the thing is, we already know it. It's just need to like see the arrangement of words.
And I need a movie and a sort of I need claim and counterclaim and
I need some Amazon stuff. Or a new streaming service for me to sign up to. That would be good. That's right.
Actually. That I can sign up for one thing, forget about, and then just pick me off for $6 a month. 6 points in a song, job done.
Patreon.com/Great
Cricketer. Anyway, /Great Cricketer.
Let's talk about the Sheffield Shield pairs and the WBBL before we get into #AskTGC. Okay, Queensland, New South Wales, that ended in the draw, as did Victoria and Western Australia. Renshaw opening the batting 200 red. Did you see that? 200 red. Hey, Michael Neser, do you remember he played for Australia? 136 batting at 7. Moses finished 99 not out in the third innings. Nathan Lyon couldn't do the job for him in batting there at number 11. Swepson in the third innings also 5 for 113. Those are some numbers there, some names and numbers that you like, which is what the Sheffield Shield is. In the Western Australia-Victoria game, that was in Melbourne, Western Australia hit 466 and 5 for 185 versus Victoria's 4 for 616 declared. Bancroft did 100 in the first innings. Marcus Harris, Hanscom and Sam Harper all hit hundreds for Victoria. Pete Hanscom hit 281 not out, and they declared red. Sam Harper, the wicketkeeper, 132 red as well. So that was pretty flat, I reckon. Anything else to report on the Sheffield Shield? Names, numbers. Is it a bat off yet?
Oh, it's always a bat off.
Are there spots? Are there spots, do you reckon?
It's a good question.
I don't think there actually are.
I think the Test top 6 is locked in.
I think the team's the team.
Yeah. At the moment, team's the team.
Hanscom's the form player in Shield cricket at the moment.
Good. I like it, and he doesn't want to be known as a guy that's good in Asia, but he's good in Asia. And there's a small matter of a Test series happening over there in February.
He's going to be in that squad.
But it is funny. It's like, what has 281 not out at the Junction Oval got to do with Axar Patel at Nagpur?
I'll tell you, mate, nothing.
But still 281 red. And they're good numbers, and they must feel good.
That must be his 19th first-class century, because we were reporting on his 18th last week. So +1, that means 19.
Right, 18 plus 1's 19.
The WBBL, I've got the table there in front of you, Pez. The Perth Scorchers, can they go back-to-back? They're top of the table. They were on 7 points after 5 games, 3 wins and a loss so far. Now, this is actually... There's something I want to raise with you, Pez. Harmanpreet Kaur has pulled out of the WBBL. She plays for the Renegades and was, in fact, the star player. She has a back issue.
Right.
Now, she was supposed to miss the first 2 games because of her commitments with India. They were playing in the Asia Cup, which they won. They beat Sri Lanka in the final, smashed them indeed. And she has pulled out of the BBL entirely because to manage, she got a back issue. Smriti Mandana had earlier pulled out of the tournament to manage her workload, right? All these things completely reasonable. No reason to suggest otherwise.
Right.
But, we look at Meg Lanning. No one really knows if Meg Lanning is going to come back, when she's going to come back, if she does. I saw Jess Jonathan the other day talking about she'd be happy to fill the void, or she'd look at filling the void of being captain if Meg Lanning does not come back. So there's obviously a World Cup for Australia in February in New Zealand. Now, the Women's IPL starts on March 22, Pez. There's 5 teams. There's 18 in the squad. You can play 6 overseas in that. So you can have 6 overseas players in the squads of 18. You can play 5 overseas players in the 11. 4 of those can be from full member nations and 1 can be from an associate nation. That's how the Women's IPL is shaping up, right? Now, we know that what they do for the Men's IPL, they being the BCCI, they do not allow Indian players to play in other domestic T20 leagues. And I'm just thinking there's no clash. There is no clash with in terms of schedules for the IPL and the WBBL. But as Indian players pulling out, is that where it's going to go? Am I reaching here?
I don't know what I meant. I don't know what I meant to say to that. You're sort of suggesting now that the IPL's on, the BCCI kind of clandestinely pulling their players out to protect the women's IPL.
I suppose it is actually what I'm suggesting, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that would surprise me in the sense that, like...
It hasn't even started yet.
And there would have been knowledge that the IPL was around the corner. So you would imagine there'd be a tap on the shoulder, you know, if that was going to be the case to say pull out of the WBBL. I mean, it's probably just two players who are injured.
Almost definitely. Almost definitely. But, you know, I was just trying to think of something to bring for this tournament, so... All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
No. Look, I suppose in a few days after the last podcast that we did, there was several stories about whether or not Pat Cummins' comments about his discomfort with Australia's sponsorship with Alinta Energy had anything to do with Alinta Energy terminating that agreement a year early. And it brought forth several other articles about and you know, think pieces about the role of players in kind of influencing these things. Several think pieces about sports washing in general around the globe. We see netball going through an issue like this in Australia at the moment as well.
Right.
We did touch on it briefly, or the same themes of this with Adam Zampa when we're lying in bed with him, shoes on, unfortunately, and not under the covers, which would have been nice. That would have been nice. Which is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Someone's hand resting on a leg. Whose hand is it? That kind of thing.
A stolen glance.
Indeed. The caress of the foot.
A bag on one's head.
A bag on one's head. And an erection to boot.
Name of the show.
I just thought it was worth. Thought it might have. Oh, look, I've got no like pre-prepared comments on this, but I thought it might have been worth touching on. You know, there's a lot of people saying that it appear to be saying players should stay out of this kind of stuff. I noted Cricket Australia's quite strong statement following Alinta's termination of the deal. That Cummins' comments had nothing to do with it, that it was completely Alinta's decision and it was not influenced by Cummins' comments. Now, whether or not that's true or not, or there is correlation, it doesn't really matter. I think Cricket Australia was signalling to other potential partners that, you know, its commercial strategy does not get dictated to by a player. But I do think that it's quite clear that players do influence these things, whether directly or not, and I think that they should be able to do that. I think players are huge stakeholders in the brands of these sports, and that young people, as we can see, whatever age you are listening to this show or watching this show, like, you know, young people, it is fair to say, are more cognizant of these issues than their predecessors, and they are more influential. They literally, you can demonstrate their influence via things like social media that didn't exist before. I think that many of them are more socially conscious, and I think that administrations do need to take that into account. With the netball situation, and that's me.
That's actually Interpol. You can hear in the background coming to get Pez.
That's me, guys. Yeah. I think if you arrive at a scenario like netball did, where, you know, $15 million from a company with questionable environmental credentials, among other things, is an error of administration to that point. If your sport gets to a point where the $15 million from the questionable company is appealing, then it's probably been maladministered to that point. Right. You know, I think that any company that comes into sports sponsorship now that doesn't take into account what the players may think about it is also ignorant or arrogant. That's a factor. I point to, like, we're not anywhere near those levels, right? But, you know, we have a position on gambling sponsorships, for example. It's not done. We don't talk about it in any wowzerish way. People have different relationships to it. We just don't want to flood anyone else's, you know, time listening to content with talk about how much money they can lose on sport. You know, it's just a bit grim from our perspective. Others look at it differently, but the way we see it is like there may be 6-figure, 7-figure sums in the offing, whether now or later. But I think it would be fair to say, he goes, that like I kind of regard that money as not existing. You know, like it's like don't even look at it. If your business has to take that money or decides to take that money, that might be the beginning of the end of your business. Because and it's a comment about younger people. I think younger people, by and large, are rejecting these things, and so if you're taking that money, then you may be commencing the beginning of the end, you know, of your business. So I just thought it was an interesting little like episode. A few handbags thrown a few days ago about it. Be curious to see the kinds of sponsors that CA bring on from now. It's really just a comment on the way young people are seeing things, and I say like all power to them. And I think it's good that they're speaking up on those things, on the things I specifically agree with.
Yeah, I like the things that I like.
Yeah. So that was one other thing he goes.
Mate, did you see? Did you see that Xi Jinping has now gone past, like he has removed the 2-term mandatory thing in China, the mandatory terms in China, so he's had to move on. So now he's gone for a 3rd term, and now it's suspected that he will go for life. And we haven't seen this since Chairman Mao in like 40 years. Have you seen this? Haven't like overnight.
I saw a Patreon message saying, what if you told Xi Jinping that he was President 11? Jinping.
Mate, it is it's quite remarkable what's happening there, and obviously what that means for Taiwan, and you know, a roller coaster ride for the the rise of China, but their economy is struggling, generally speaking. Also, second lowest birth rate China in Asia at the moment, 1.16.
Okay. What's the birth? That sounds like a very crickety stat. What's the birth rate? What are they going at?
What's that, 1.17? 1.16. Feels like 1.17.
Morally, it's more of a sort of 1.2. He strikes them well.
No, it's just amazing what's happening. Just across China's obviously a massive superpower right near Australia. That's why we talk about it, on and off from times. But just remove the 2-term mandatory thing, and now he's just gone for life. Now he's going to be a lifer. And I was just thinking, like, if you want to show off a massive cock, Manscaped is a job. What you got there? If you want to show off a massive cock, you want Manscaped.
You want Manscaped? Bit of new copy too. Manscaped wants to wish you a Merry Christmas in October plus November copy. Now, here's a choice for you. Here goes. Bit of Black Friday stuff coming up. We're going to be getting around Manscaped there racist. As well as...
Why can't it just be Friday?
Yeah, so someone said yesterday, like, Pakistan come out firing the shots. It's like, okay.
Wow, calm down.
I'm not sure there's enough security for that. Lazy. So a couple of talking point options here for you. Here goes. One is titled Holidays Came Early, Male, Female or Female Sexual. The other one is Thankful, Male or Female. Take your pick.
I want thankful today, mate. Can I get thankful?
Thankful, male or female?
I want thankful male.
You're a thankful male?
I'm a thankful male at the moment.
Thankful male for the PP 4.0. Performance package, right. Only been saying it for a year. This holiday season, I'll be giving thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Everyone loves turkey and stuffing, but you'll be looking like dessert with the help of Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0.
I love dessert as well.
That's nice. The leaders in Below the Waist Grooming have blessed you with the ultimate Thanksgiving dinner topic. Tell your in-laws about your new cutting-edge ball trimmer. And gift yourself or the man in your life. Well, hang on, I said man. And that may be the case, actually. The man in your life, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Trim your pumpkins by going to manscaped.com and use the code TGC for free shipping and 20% off. All right, here goes. You don't have in-laws yet. I would not talk about my Manscaped cutting-edge ball trimmer with my mother or father-in-law.
You know what? So far, I've met the parents. It hasn't come up organically. I have been looking for a window. Sometimes you got to wait for a window. You're trying to edge it into the conversation.
Yeah, the use of how you trim your pubes. Yeah, I know that.
And because I thought Halloween might be an opportunity where we were sort of talking about pumpkins, and I was just trying to get in, but then and mum just.
Is that a pump? Where did you get that? I'll tell you how I trim my pumpkins. Jen. Hey, he goes, think your holiday spread is good? It's time to give thanks to the Manscaped Performance Package, or as I like to call it, the perfect package for your package.
Nice.
Inside, okay. Look, there we go. There's heaps of other dot points. Manscaped again. I escaped the other day.
Yeah.
Really good.
Job
really
done.
good. 6 points in a song. I actually sing my club song while I shave myself.
Yeah.
And after that, 6 points in a song. Little beer in the shower.
Fantastic. What's the website?
Yeah, beauty. It's manscaped.com. Use code TGC for 20% off.
That is fucking value once again.
Free shipping.
Hashtag ASKTGC. Simon wrote in. He said, Dear Monsieur Hippocampus and Samwise Pterodactyl. Long time listener, first time asked TGCer. Before I get started, I just want to say your podcast is one of the best things to survive the spicy cough, and I hope you keep finding ways to make monies off of our weird little community of shared trauma for years to come. Thanks, Simon. I haven't played cricket in 5 years now 26, and what a blessing it has been. No 40-degree days in the sun, no covers on a Friday, no older men forcing their toxic masculinity on you, showers, binge drinking, unwarranted sex stories of their partners, and best yet, no emotional edging by the brief, euphoric personal wins followed by weeks of feeling like you're the kid picked last in gym. In short, I'm happy. I have more time, hobbies I like, and don't have to defend cricket to every girl I come across when they ask why I can't do things on Saturdays. My conundrum comes in the form of a new social circle and their passing interest in cricket. I was invited around for a weekend breakfast with 4 other blokes I've known for a little under a year to enjoy a lovely morning of pancakes, croissants, coffee, etc., etc. The conversation starts with usual bloke stuff, what the surf is doing, where everyone was last night. Where was everyone last night? Who was seeing someone new? Who has a date coming up? Good luck, son. So on and so forth. Unexpectedly, the conversation turns to cricket. Score! I hadn't realised they were fans. This is my area. I listen to TGC weekly, read results, and generally try to stay abreast of things since retiring. Quitting. My friend starts talking about the Oz vs England T20 series currently happening in England. I didn't watch this game. Test and finals only, thanks. But I'm always interested to hear what they think on the players and to see the general engagement level these days of the uninitiated, which for me was using a box to pretend you're Darth Vader as a 10-year-old. Slowly, the lads start sharing their cricket stories, a season here, school knockout there, and the shared experience by all of the metal ring of rusty stumps in the driveways. It swings to personal bowling techniques or favourite shots. We're on here. I have loads of success stories I can pick from and turn into witty banter and keep the conversation rolling.
Jesus.
Unfortunately, what I chose to share was my pet peeve as a fast-medium bowler. I start with my description of a good short of a length ball that is either swinging or nipping off the deck, which normally is either left alone, blocked, or results in a wicket to decent players. My peeve, I explain, was when a lower order fuckhead comes in shortly after a wicket and tonks the ball over my head for a boundary. No respect at all given to the ball as is deserved. I explain that when this happens to me, I'm out for this coat's blood. He's getting a broken fucking arm or knocked the fuck out. A bouncer, no exceptions. I don't care if they look like they're three chips short of a heart attack, have 1 foot in the grave, or come from juniors in the morning. They're getting my 120% effort to hurt them. As you boys might say, I grew an extra head. I awaken from my aggression-fueled rant to shocked and appalled faces. I've gone too far. I had the opportunity to share in the banter whilst asserting dominance as the cricket nuffy of the group, but instead I wind up looking like a complete psychopath who needs mental help. I try explain this is the mindset you need to have as a bowler. The opposition isn't your friend. You channel your entire being into trying to deliver the perfect ball, and sometimes this needs aggression. Needless to say, this results in confused faces. I let the conversation move along to less risky topics like next beers or old mate's pregnancy scare, and not long after I hastily make my excuses and leave. My questions to you boys is thus. 1. Have I alienated my new group of friends by oversharing into deep and dark mental game of cricketers and set myself up as the crazy bloke ready to snap? 2. Is the visceral nature of the game in all its glory, not appropriate to those who haven't lived it. 3, do I need to seek professional help to try and understand why my 15 years of cricket's social brainwashing resulted in me sharing a very personal and hateful yet programmed response against the opposition to a group of near strangers when all they were wanting was a cute story of some wickets or a clean six. 4, my dad still plays park cricket at near 60 and gives up his weekend for bogans in the suburbs over instead of spending time with his family, and doesn't fail to mention each weekend after getting a duck that he still has a century and I don't. I wonder that if, because I can't alpha my dad, everyone's dream, I tried to execute a poorly constructed and ill thought out alpha tale on my mates. Thoughts? Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Simon in Newcastle.
Thank you, Simon. This is a good question because I think it gives rise to a really foundational, fundamental rule about how you present yourself as a cricketer in any group of people.
Okay.
Okay, here's a theory I want to run by you. Here goes.
Please.
You may be someone who, for whom the truth is you love the game of cricket,
Okay.
and it's a hugely important part of your life and your identity.
Keep that to yourself.
That's ultimately what I was going to say.
Sorry.
It's like you can never talk your way into people being impressed with your cricketing ability.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually impossible. And in fact, it's like quicksand. The more you talk, the more passion this is Australian, obviously, or Anglo. The more you talk, the more passion you demonstrate, the less respect you'll get from people. That goes all the way to the top of the game of cricket. And in fact, it's even more pronounced there. The less you say about your cricket, the more you economise how you describe your cricket and your love for it, the more chance you'll be seen as someone who's actually good at the game. Now, Simon, as you can tell by this fucking 1,500 word question, still has not learned that lesson with the way he's written. Now, the truth is, and this is a lovely thing, cricket's a massive thing in Simon's life. Right?
And that's great.
It is, and that's great in and of itself.
Good for you.
But he cannot verbalise his way into respect. The more verbiage he attaches to cricket to people, whether they're inside cricket or not, the less they'll be respected. And in the case of his friends, horrified.
Yeah.
As they should be. And he's digging. You're digging more of a hole, Simon, by wanting them to respect you more by talking about cricket. Like you ask Ricky Ponting.
Yep.
Like whether he likes cricket or he played cricket. If you ask Ricky Ponting, his answer could he obviously scored 15,000 test runs or whatever the fuck it was and whatever. I'm one of the greatest players. You ask Ricky Ponting, mate, did you play cricket? He'll say, yeah, I played a bit.
Yeah, I played a bit.
I played a bit. He'll add a modifier around yes to saying a bit to leave you thinking, well, it mightn't have been much. He would say that to an unsuspecting member of the public. Yeah, I used to play a bit.
Yeah, I used to play a bit.
That's it. And now you, Simon, are talking about fucking getting red, like white line fever and fucking red mist, wanting to bump someone. You probably can't bump someone, truly. You probably don't have the pace to do that. And because you're desperate for people to see your, edge mentality about what a great bowler you are and stuff like that. It's fucking written all over you. Just stop talking about it. But it's true, isn't it? Someone asks you about the greatest thing you've ever done in cricket or whatever, like Eric Hollies, knocking over Bradman with a wrong, and if someone asks that to Eric Hollies, what's your greatest moment in cricket? I knocked over a bloke once. I don't know.
Fuck the bird, the clubhouse.
Under the covers. I took the poles out of the covers. I got under them and had sex with a woman consensually at the Oval there,
and the next morning, I did Bradman.
They call it.
I did Bradman with a bosey.
Right. They call it the Bradman hallway. Wait till you see what they call the covers. Wait till you see. and he spoke too much.
So you revealed too much.
He revealed too much. And that was his problem, didn't it? Didn't do much his career afterwards.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Under the covers, a couple of the boys started peeking. One of them was saying, son of a gun.
Alec Bedser in the corner. Son of a gun.
Or was that his brother? They used to bath together, didn't they?
Oh, fucking hell.
Little drive-by on the Bedses.
Finally, someone did it. Ah,
could play a bit.
fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. All right. I've enjoyed that. I hope you're enjoying the cricket. I hope you got World Cup fever. Or if you haven't yet, because it's cold and it's wet in Australia generally on the eastern seaboard, you know what? Australia just wins a couple of games. You'll be right back into it. As Simon just says, he just likes to test and he might watch a final. And that, you know what? That's Australia and that's fucking perfect. I hope we make a final or some shit. We'll see you guys on the internet next time.